Welcome to Sports Time with Chris. I'm your host, Chris, and today I will be previewing the upcoming conference championships with the Commanders and Eagles fighting for the NFC and the Chiefs and Bills fighting for the AFC. But before we get into that, I wanted to give my kind of brief summary and thoughts on the divisional round. And so, starting with my predictions, I went 3 for 4 as far as choosing the correct winners. I had the Bills, the Chiefs, and the Eagles. And unfortunately for Detroit, their season came to an end. And that was, out of everything that happened this weekend, that was definitely the biggest surprise to me. Detroit, I've been saying this all year, they looked like the team of destiny. They looked all year like the best team in football. And they never used the injury excuse, even though their defense was just hanging on by a thread. And unfortunately, that showed up in this game. When you're playing a high-octane offense like the Commanders, you have to be on top of everything. You have to be playing your best ball. And when you have a bunch of guys, who aren't starters, you're not always going to get the best out of them. Now, Detroit's offense, Jared Goff specifically didn't help them out. There was the interception on the Jameson Williams pass in the, fourth quarter that didn't work. And so obviously that plays a big role. When you have as many turnovers as Detroit did, it's hard to win any football game, regardless of how good your defense is. So that definitely didn't help. But the Commanders it just seemed like they were in control the whole game. And I wasn't necessarily surprised by the Commanders' offense putting up as many points as they did, but I was more surprised by Detroit's offense not being able to match what the Commanders were doing, because that's what they've been doing all year. Detroit's defense, has, like I said, dealt with injuries, and their offense has been on fire. And that just didn't happen in this game. You got to feel for Detroit. It really felt like it was their year. But this makes for a very interesting NFC Championship where they're going to be playing the Eagles. Now, watching the Eagles game, I was under the impression before the game. So I picked the Eagles to win 17-13, low-scoring game. And the reason for that was because I was expecting the whole game to look like that second half. From what I was reading, there was supposed to be snow. It was supposed to be snowing all game before the game. And so I thought snow was going to play more of a factor in the first half, which would result in less scoring than there was. And honestly, Los Angeles, their offense has been, they've received a lot of praise this year. Everyone's like, they have Kyron Williams, they have Matthew Stafford and Puka Nacua, Cooper Kupp, they have all these guys. And yet their offense for the last few weeks of the season was pretty lackluster. And in order to win this game against Philly, we knew Philly's rushing attack was going to be big. I said between Jalen Hurts and Saquon, and even who's the third guy, Gainwell? I think that's his name. And that we knew their rushing attack was going to be fine, and that plays in their favor in a snowy game. However, if the conditions were not snowy, I would have highly favored the Rams in that game, and we saw that a little bit in the first half. And the Rams really had the opportunity to take control of that game in the first half before the elements became a factor, and they didn't. And watching that game, I was like, whoever has the lead at halftime, and it was just starting to snow right before halftime. Whoever has the lead before the elements take over is going to win this game. It's going to they're going to be able to, keep the game out of reach, which is exactly what Philadelphia did. Philly, the thing about them is Saquon is very talented, and so teams are gearing up to stop him. Their offense, passing the ball is really not a threat, in my opinion. Jalen Hurts, he's better as a runner at this point, and that would have played a big factor if it wasn't a snow game. I think Matthew Stafford would have been able to take that game over if the elements were a factor, but I knew exactly what Philadelphia was going to do in that fourth quarter. I tweeted it out right before Saquon broke that long rushing touchdown off. I was like, Saquon is going to put this game away right now, because we've seen that all year from the Eagles. Even if Saquon doesn't have like a crazy rushing game in that fourth quarter, right around when it's time to put the game away, they call the play, probably their play they feel is going to work the best, and Saquon goes for a big run. We've seen this multiple times with the Eagles this year, and it showed up again on Sunday in the snow. And I just watched a clip actually where LaShawn McCoy ran the exact same play, and it looked almost identical to Saquon's. I don't remember what year or what game that was. I just watched the clip, and it's pretty crazy how I'm pretty sure it was the exact same play out of shotgun, just a handoff right up the middle. But yeah, we'll see. I'll when I get into my predictions, I'll explain why the weather is going to be a big factor in this game again. And then, of course, the Texans and Chiefs. Man, it just seemed like the Chiefs were in control of that game. And the thing about the Chiefs is everyone gives Patrick Mahomes all this credit, and he deserves a lot of it. He is absolutely a playmaker. He makes all sorts of throws and runs when the team needs it. But really, the thing that wins the Chiefs championships is their defense. We saw that in the Super Bowl last year where they shut down Kyle Shanahan's offense, and we saw that in this last week. They shut down the Texans offense, and to me, that's their defense wins their championships for them. It's nice having Patrick Mahomes, and of course he's the best quarterback in the league, and that makes a big difference. But I think what really helps him is having that defense that he can rely on, because when you have that in your back pocket, everyone wants that. It gives you a little bit more wiggle room. It allows you to make more mistakes. It allows you to take more risks, and then Patrick Mahomes does that. He does it better than really anyone else in the league. So that game wasn't really a surprise. The Ravens and Bills. Oh man, what a game. That game was just fun from start to finish. And in my prediction, I said Lamar would fumble once in this game and Derrick Henry would fumble once. Now, Derrick Henry did not. It was Mark Andrews who fumbled in a very key time, which was unfortunate. And it came down to the last possession for the Ravens. Lamar, to his credit, drove them down the field and they scored a touchdown to make it a 2-point game. And what I will say about Lamar is he has improved as a passer. A lot of people in the past have said he's just a running quarterback. He's not really a threat throwing the ball. And I disagree with that. He definitely has an arm. He can throw it all over the field. He can throw absolute dimes and he can rocket the ball. But one thing that I've noticed about Lamar is he doesn't have all the touch all the time. The way he throws the football comes out a little bit flat, and sometimes you do need to have that touch. And so when I say this, it may make some people angry, and so I want to start with this. Mark Andrews absolutely has to make that catch on that 2-point conversion. Not only is he an NFL player, he is one of the best tight ends in the league. He is, I'm pretty sure, one of the leading touchdown scorers in Ravens history, if not the number one touchdown scorer in Ravens history. He has to make that catch. With that being said, Lamar did not do him any favors on that throw. It was like a little sprint right option where Mark Andrews got open almost right away, and Lamar, he hesitated. He looked like he went to throw. I don't know if he pump faked, he double clutched, and I think that threw off the timing of not only his throw, but Mark Andrews as well. I'm sure Mark was like, when he sees Lamar winding up the throw, he's like, okay, it's coming. Then it doesn't come. All of a sudden he's like, is there a defender behind me? Is there someone like right here? All of a sudden he has to start thinking about those things, and then Lamar puts it behind him. He has to slow down. And the thing is, Lamar didn't really put any touch on this pass. He threw it behind Mark Andrews, who had to slow down, and Lamar kind of, threw a little bit of a heater, not really any touch on the ball. And like I said, Mark Andrews has to make this catch, but it's a rock hard football, and Mark Andrews, because of the hesitation, has to worry about the sideline now. He has to worry about going out of bounds and making the catch, and is there a defender right here who's going to contest this ball? He has to take all those things into consideration, and it's too bad. I would have loved to see that game go to overtime, but Mark Andrews doesn't deserve, first of all, Mark Andrews doesn't deserve all that hate from Ravens fans. Well, it's football, and yes, he has to make that catch, but there's no reason to send death threats or do anything crazy like that. That's just, come on, man. That's not cool. But what is cool is there are a bunch of Bills fans who, since that game, have donated a lot of money towards Mark Andrews Foundation, which I believe has to do with diabetes, type 1 diabetes. I probably should have done some more research, but anyway, it's something really cool that Bills fans have done. For the rest of the playoffs, I'm pulling for the Bills just because Josh Allen is awesome, and the Bills fans have gained nothing but my respect during this playoff run. They donated to Mark Andrews Foundation, and they also donated to Charvarius Ward's Foundation when they found out about what happened with Ward and his situation with his daughter this last year. So yeah, pretty awesome to hear from Bills fans. But that is enough. Let's get into these predictions for the weekend. Before I get into my score predictions for this weekend, I will tell you guys what my finalists are for the Super Bowl foods, potentially. So I have 2 options for each city, one savory, one sweet. So let's get right into it. For Washington, my savory option are pupusas, and my sweet option, this is subject to change, but a brown butter bourbon bread pudding looked really good. But we'll see if there's anything I can substitute for bourbon, because this is supposed to be kid friendly. For Philadelphia, cheesesteak sliders is my savory option, and sweet is apple hot dumplings. For Buffalo, savory is buffalo wings, of course, and sweet are pastry hearts. And finally, for Kansas City, my sweet option, like a couple of years ago, are Stroud cinnamon rolls. And for my savory, we've got Kansas City style ribs. So let me know what you think of those options, and stay tuned to see those recipes come to life. NFC Championship, Commanders at Eagles. The weather for this game, chilly with no precipitation in the forecast, and that favors Washington. Washington is more effective than Philadelphia at throwing the football. However, Washington needs to be wary of they need to be able to get first downs in this game, because they run an up-tempo offense, and the problem with that in the NFL is if you go 3 and out really, really fast over and over again, a team like Philadelphia that is very run-heavy is going to take advantage of that. They're going to be able to run the football and control the ball, control the clock, and the game. And so for me, that is the key factor in this one. I think between Jalen Hurts running the ball, Saquon, even Gainwell, it's going to be tough behind this offensive line to stop Philadelphia. And so I've got the Eagles winning in a closer one than you might expect, 27-24. Saquon will put the game away at the very end. AFC Championship, Bills at Chiefs. It's supposed to be cold, but again, clear skies all year long. The Chiefs have had a lackluster offense, and their defense has really carried this team. And this team lost one game truly, and that was against the Buffalo Bills. And to me, with Josh Allen, this Buffalo defense and offense, they're going to be able to find a way in this one. They've been eliminated from the playoffs by the Chiefs 3 out of 4 years, and this is the year that they make it to the Super Bowl, behind Josh Allen willing them all the way. So with that being said, I don't think it's going to be as close as Vegas thinks it is. The Chiefs are favored by 2, but I've got the Bills going into Kansas City, staking a claim in the Super Bowl. They're winning this one 27-17. Those are my predictions. So let me know. Am I going to get these 2 correct? Am I going to go 2 for 2 on championship weekend? And what are your thoughts? Are you predicting the Chiefs to go back to their 3rd Super Bowl in a row? Are the Commanders going to be the surprise team of the year? And is Jaden Daniels going to be the first rookie quarterback to ever start in a Super Bowl? That would be pretty cool. Jaden Daniels has been really fun to watch. I had my doubts about him this season, honestly, but he's been playing. I mean, he has improved so much from that first game against the Buccaneers. I was like, oh, this is going to be the same old Commanders team that just sucks, and Jaden Daniels doesn't look very good, and they've been on a heater this year. They have a really good coaching staff between Dan Quinn and Cliff Kingsbury. Crazy, man. It's funny how being in a different situation can really elevate different guys. So, in my opinion, like I said, I believe it's going to be a Bills and Eagles Super Bowl. To me, that would definitely be the most intriguing matchup, because I think those 2 teams are really well matched. And then from there, really anyone but the Chiefs would be fun to watch. I'm just tired of watching the Chiefs in the Super Bowl. The Chiefs and Eagles rematch would be, I don't know, it would be okay. I would fully expect the Chiefs to win that game, honestly. And I would expect the Chiefs to beat the Commanders too. But there's one, I've said all year, there are 3 teams that all season I thought could beat the Chiefs: Bills, the Ravens, and the Lions. And of course, 2 of those teams were eliminated. So now it's down to Josh Allen and the Bills. And I think they have what it takes to get it done. This team all year has been solid. Everyone thought they would take a step back because of all the pieces they lost and all that. But Josh Allen has been on a completely different level. Besides Saquon, I would say he is definitely the MVP. I mean, it's tough because, he's a quarterback. MVP has turned into a quarterback award. And Saquon is definitely the most valuable player for his team. With no Saquon, the Eagles would be completely toast, in my opinion. So, yeah. going to be a fun weekend for football. I'm really looking forward to it, and I'm looking forward to see which Super Bowl foods I'm going to be making this year. The best combination I can think of would be Bills and Eagles, because buffalo wings and cheesesteaks are two of my favorite foods, and even though those are two savory foods, that would be so good. But I don't know if I would do two savory foods or not. I decided to find one sweet and one savory, just so you gotta have some variety. So I would take that into consideration. I would try to make the best possible combination out of the options that I have. But the overall best matchup for as far as food goes would be, so when we're talking mixing savory and sweet, I would have to say Philadelphia and Kansas City are the best, probably the best matchup as far as sweet and savory. If we're doing savory, then it's Buffalo and Philly. If we're doing just sweet, I would have to say Washington and Kansas City. That brown butter bourbon bread pudding sounds amazing. But like I said, that one potentially could be switched out for a different dessert type food, just because I don't know how many bourbon substitutes are there and if they're any good, if they have some. Because based on the one recipe I read, you don't really cook the bourbon, so it's going to be pretty alcoholic still. And if this is being served to kids, obviously that's you don't want to be serving alcohol to kids. So yeah, we'll see if that one gets switched out. I guess we'll see after this weekend if that matters or not. But anyway, that is going to do it for this week's episode. We'll see what I do for next week. I'm hoping the 49ers will have a new defensive coordinator, and maybe I can talk about that, because nothing has really gone on directly with the 49ers. They've had some indirect things happen, which the Jaguars fired Trent Baalke, and they have a second interview scheduled with Robert Saleh, who of course the Niners said they would be willing to make the highest paid defensive coordinator in the league. But that's all 49ers adjacent, and they could have done a better job, so I could be talking about their game this weekend, but they sucked this year. So that's enough about that. So thank you for taking the time to listen to me. Please, if you haven't yet, go like the video, subscribe to my channel, subscribe if you're on Spotify, follow me on there, go give me a heart and all that fun stuff. I appreciate every single one of you and your valuable time that you spent listening to me talk about football. This has been Sports Time with Chris.